I'll be sharing my screen just shortly.
Hope she didn't leave.
No, can you see me or no?
I could see you and I could see me. And that third
Okay.
person, he went away.
Oh, okay.
Her name never came up. It just says she's on an iPhone.
Okay.
Comes Leslie.
Hi
Okay.
there.
Hi,
Hi.
Leslie.
Hi. Hey, Brian, I ordered your book, but it didn't come yet.
Uh-oh. It'll show up. Who'd you go through?
I think it was Amazon,
Oh, okay. Yeah, it'll show up.
and I read a couple of pages. It's pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
I like your style.
Yeah, it's fun.
Hope it catches on.
Okay. All right, now I'm gonna screen share. Okay.
Are you recording this, Karen?
Yes, I am
Okay.
recording.
Where does it go?
What?
Where does the recording go?
It's going to go up on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's one and there should be two recordings up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna have to check out the second one.
Mm.
Okay, so welcome to Karen Rice's Family Zoom Station, episode 7, Homeschooling Today, Trust and Solutions.
Mm.
During the first part of this 1-hour show, I share tips and strategies that create harmony with kids. Then we open things up for Q&A and discussion. An aspect of trust that we did not address at all last week is what trust means to us. So here are some of my thoughts on trusting others. Trusting someone means that you believe that you can find agreement with them. You believe in their decisions and actions. Trust all.
It's not moving, Karen.
What?
The screen's not moving.
It's not moving?
No.
Okay, let me stop the share and see. So you didn't get different slides? What
Not
do you?
yet.
Just the first one, episode 7.
Just a welcome
Really?
slide. It stayed on a welcome slide, and there's a block at the bottom covering up your logo
Huh.
on my screen anyway.
Yeah, same for me.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. Okay, now I stopped the screen share. Maybe start it again?
Sure.
Now, are you seeing?
Oh yeah, there we go. Uh-huh.
Do you see a where it says trust also means?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Yes, I can. I've done it before. Let's see. Just to the previous? Probably, huh?
How many slides have there been?
I'm not sure. Oh, I think the other one said that we hadn't talked at all about what trust meant to us and that I was going to share some thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Okay. So trusting someone means that you believe that you can find agreement with them. You
Mhm.
believe in their decisions and actions. Trust. Now, did it switch
Yes.
to then? Oh, okay. Trust also means believing that someone is speaking the truth of their experience and understanding. It has been said that if there are 15 witnesses to an incident, there will be 15 different stories about what happened. It can help to remember this when you consider judging whether someone is speaking the truth. Last week's show ended with the awareness that there was an aspect of trust that I had not covered in last week's talk, and that is the child believing in and trusting their parents. I just covered the child becoming trustworthy so that their parents can believe in them. However, since the adult is the example, the model for their kids, trust between kids and adults starts there. Because of our last week's theme, trust, and ending the show with people wanting more, trust has been a theme that has floated in and out of my mind during this past week. The two primary aspects have been kids trusting adults in their lives, and then the adults trusting themselves. First, kids trusting adults. As I think about it, it must be built into children to trust their parents, as love between parent and child seems to be built in for survival. Doesn't that make sense? When we are babies, we are entirely dependent on the adults in our lives to help us survive and hopefully thrive. Think of how much we can't do for ourselves. In any case, it seems that when we're babies and small children, we have no option but to trust. One awareness that has just come to me is that however much we trust our parents, trusting our parents does not take priority over trusting our developmental blueprint. What we need to do to ensure our developmental progress toward adulthood takes priority over what our parents might want us to do or not do. This is shown clearly in babies who can't yet talk or walk, but still do things that their parents do not want them to do. In fact, they might even insist on doing certain things. It seems that the most powerful trust we have as a child is in following our developmental blueprint. In terms of trusting the adults in our lives, it seems that we do trust them as long as they do not go against what we are inspired to do by our developmental blueprint. For example, as a baby, we are inspired to touch things and put them in our mouths. That is a valuable way for us to learn about things. Often our parents do not want us to put things in our mouths and try to stop us. Some even hit us, hoping that hurting us will make us stop, but it doesn't. So it seems that adults becoming trustworthy to kids becomes an issue when parents try to force kids to go against what the kids are inspired to do. Perhaps the best we can do as parents is to help them do what they are inspired to do. Or maybe we can even encourage them and give them opportunities to go in the direction of their developmental blueprint is guiding them. Maybe we are not here as their guides, just as examples and helpers, and to love them and be loved by them. In this process of trusting, it seems that the one rule takes care of the whole issue. The one rule agreement not only helps people develop trust in themselves and trust in others who practice the one rule. You can use it even if you don't already believe in yourself or your kids. Practice the one rule and get the wonderful results that come from using the one rule. Following your interests, harmony, getting what you want without having to fight for it, even trusting, believing in yourself. The other aspect of trusting that has come to me this week is adults trusting themselves, their thoughts, their decisions, and their actions. I'm calling it believing in yourself, and it seems very important. In fact, as a model of how to live, it seems critically important. Not to mention, it is essential for personal thriving. Now, a third aspect of trust has appeared, which is a primary goal of trusting. Kids growing up trusting themselves so they can thrive. The two stories I told you last week, The Roof Jumper and Poison Oak, were used as examples of an adult, me, trusting kids, but they're also examples of the kids trusting themselves. In The Roof Jumper, those kids who thought they could do the jump did, and those who did not think they could didn't. Both groups were exercising belief in themselves toward a successful end. In Poison Oak, all of the kids believed in their decision to try what their friends suggested. They also had successful outcomes. The following story demonstrates that kids can be trusted with control over many aspects of life that adults often assume they cannot handle. As Bob Schwartz points out in his book, Diets Don't Work, they can even be trusted to choose the food they eat. I once read of an experiment in which children suffering from malnutrition were put into a room filled with food. There were all kinds of delicious things to eat, including sweets and candy. And in the corner, there was a kettle of gruel. The gruel wasn't as appetizing as the rest of the food, but it was loaded with all the nutrients the children's bodies lacked. The children were told they could have anything they wanted, and almost without exception, they headed for the gruel. They couldn't get enough of it. So I wanted to let you know about next week. It's going to be a little different. Next week, things are going to be a little different. Zoom is insisting that everyone be protected by a security system they will have in place by the end of the month. That means that instead of coming right into the show, you'll go to a waiting room and I will have to let you in. I'll have to learn how to do all of this, and hopefully it will all go smoothly. The other thing, you might have to enter a password or something like that. I'll send out messages and emails if there are any other special details you need to know about. I'll help the transition go as smoothly as possible. Thanks for being here. Now it's time for Q&A and discussion. Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting about, the children's developmental is the primary.
Yeah, I see all this stuff that I shared. It's not like I already knew that. It was like a discovery for me because anyway, and I was just thinking right now that a lot of people think that when kids do certain things that the adults don't want them to do, that that the kids are being disobedient and they're not listening, and that they're being defiant, that they're pushing, they're testing their boundaries and their limits. And I think really that this inner motivation that they have is really what's going on. And if our goal is harmony, and I mean, I know there may be other ways to get there, but this agreement seems to be a really efficient way. So, because like as I was writing about, I was thinking about like, well, do you already have to trust yourself and believe in yourself and all of that to be an example? Well, with this one rule, with the agreement, you don't have to. It's built into it. And I mean, it seems to me that one of the goals of a parent would be to have harmonious relationship with their child or children. And doing things or wanting them to do things that go against what they feel inside to do doesn't seem to be going in the direction of harmony to me.
Right. Well, there's the parents, it's the highway or the byway, or my way or the highway.
I know there are.
Yeah,
I know.
the child's duty is to follow, is to obey.
Well, it's not really until they're in that 2-year-old phase when they could even do that
Mhm.
when they're still babies, or they have to follow what they are inwardly motivated to do. That's why parents can slap their kids' hands and whatever, and if it's a strong child, they'll keep going after whatever it is. I don't know if it's a weaker child, if they'll give up. I've haven't dealt with that many babies, so 2-year-olds, yeah,
Right.
2, 3, 4, 5, 7.
Mhm. There's something else. Let's see. Trust means to us you believe you can find agreement. You believe in their decisions and actions. So that comes over practice, right?
What do you mean?
Well, you have to practice finding agreement, and then you can believe that you can find agreement. But if you don't try it, you first of all, you won't be able to do it, and then you won't be able to believe that you can do it, right?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, I wonder if that would have to be because I was thinking of when like when you meet somebody and you automatically trust them. You just have I don't know about you, but a sense that this person feels trustworthy, right?
I recall in my childhood, my grandmother telling us to respect and to trust, for example, a police officer, right? Whenever you see that they have the badge and the uniform, that's someone you could go to trust. And then
Right.
I remember some other adults conflicting that, telling me that's not necessarily true, that even those people have to earn your trust and respect. And it kind of threw me off as a child. But now as an adult, I think, well, if you got that far to where you got the uniform and you got a job and you maintain your job, then you have earned it, you know. But
Hmm.
I've been thinking while you were talking about the assorted visions of the people that are associating with the children. If there's conflicts or confusion, you know what I mean? Who to listen to. Another example, like when I went to Catholic school, they told me, go to church every Sunday. My parents would make me get up and go, and they wouldn't go themselves. So, my parents took that as their free time, cook each other breakfast or whatever else they were cooking while they knew I'd be gone for a couple of hours. I lost a little bit of trust there with my home life, or some of the things that were going home conflicted with what I was being taught at school. You know what I mean? And even
Yeah.
as a child, I was judgmental of which way to go, who to listen to, about that. A lot of these things that you're mentioning in your slideshows are bringing back some memories for me to think about on my own level, because I'm on a spot now. It's really weird. I keep mentioning this, but this is where I'm at right now. I'm raising a 2-year-old here in my house as a grandpa, but she has a different relationship with me than she has with her mom. And I'm seeing that. but I think she trusts both of us. But she does get consequences for actions from her mom that are more physical, and I see the worry in her eyes. If she's doing something wrong, and her mom yells from the room, she goes and hides from her and stuff, and or she looks at me like, uh-oh, here she comes. But she trusts me not to snitch her off where she's going or whatever, as long as she's safe. You know, I let her deal with her mom one-on-one. I don't overrule or anything, but I just believe I have a different relationship with my granddaughter than her own mom does with her. You guys following what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she trusts both. She trusts both of us, but I don't know that we're on the same path all the time, same runway of how we
Yeah.
handle things. I know my granddaughter will jump out of a tree to me. She knows I'll catch her, you know, or she'll jump out off a chair, you know, and then my daughter will say, "Don't do that. You know, he wasn't even ready for you." My granddaughter just thinks, "Papa's there. He's going to get me," you know? So that's a misconception of the child. We need to have eye contact and trust each other. But she feels as I'm there, you know. Well, I was talking about that on something on your Facebook thing the other day. I forget what the exact question was, Karen, but what I wrote down there was my granddaughter doesn't really cry or complain or whine anymore. If she even starts to do that, I'll say, "What are you supposed to do when you have an issue or a problem?" You say, "Papa, help." And I'll help her. And she trusts that I will. So there's no reason for her to cry or throw tantrums. And we have that agreement between ourselves, and it works. I
Yeah,
don't see as
I'm
much
sure.
with my I don't see as much with my daughter and my granddaughter. You know, like there's a
Well,
commercial on TV where I see the mom sitting there on the couch, and the kid's like, "Mom, I got hurt." She's like, "Well, get a Band-Aid." And he's like, "But it's bleeding." "Well, get the two of them." You know what I mean? It's like, okay, that wasn't a big help. You know, I can't trust that she's going to help me. She's going to send me to go do it myself, you know?
Hmm. So probably your daughter and her daughter have a different agreement. They don't have
Yeah.
the agreement where, like you have with your granddaughter, where she can just say, "Mom, help," and
Her
you know,
mom comes running. No, apparently not. Now,
yeah.
I'm not judging that. I'm not
No, that's
saying that.
their relationship.
Right. And her mom might be busy doing something else. If it's not an emergency or there's no danger involved, maybe she needs to learn from her mom. Do it yourself, or go get grandpa to help you because I'm busy cooking dinner, or I'm busy folding laundry or something. But with grandpa, I'll drop whatever I'm doing. If she walked in here right now, and this has happened, bring her right up here and put her in. "Hey, say hi to everybody." You know, I would never shoo her off. "I'm too busy for you to come in here now." I'm not going to do that.
Mhm.
I'm just not going to do that. Some people will, you know. I've seen it over and over again. There's some people like, "I'm busy right now. I'm doing this. You can't be here." You know, I'm not like that. And maybe there was a time where I was, and
Uh-huh.
that's brings us full circle about
Right.
trusting. She knows that she can always come to me no matter what. And I want that to go all the way into her, you know, her adulthood. You know, she can always come to
Hmm.
me and trust me, you know. And I think my own parents broke that trust with me a couple times. And my mom's excuse to me when I called her out on it was, "Well, you'll know when you're married and have kids someday why I did that." I'm like, "Oh, okay." To me, that was more of a "because I said so" answer. I don't like that one either.
Right.
"Why do I have to do this?"
Right.
"Because I said so." I don't like that answer. To me, that's not trustworthy, you know?
Right. Well, that's telling the other person that they just have to rely on what you think and know. And
Right. And you're probably going to get to this when they get to that. Why? Why? All kids are always asking why. And I guess it's a burden to have to explain all the time. You don't want to just be, because I said so. Maybe you owe them an explanation as to why.
Yeah, so that they can be in on the decision. Because if it's just because I said so, like you were saying, Leslie, that kids are expected to just obey.
Accept it, and that's it. Right.
Right. And they're not in on the decision.
Right. Well, they're not
And
little
so they can't,
slaves.
what?
They're not little slaves. You know, you can't just say, get in line, go get this, obey, obey. Well, they want to know why. That's a legitimate question sometimes.
I think
Right.
so.
And then what happens is, I just had a conversation with my son. I have 3 sons that live together. 2 of them have schizoaffective disorder, and one of them has, I don't know, he's described as a butterfly. He kind of goes from one job to another. Anyway, he's trying to help. So they don't really trust each other. So it's very difficult for them to live together. And they don't trust each other because they had an overbearing father who was always telling them what to do. And if they didn't do it, they'd have to pay the price. And they had a mother who was just kind of working all the time or too tired and just kind of stepped back a little bit. So there they are, you know.
So do they have locks on their doors, and do they label their food and all that stuff?
No.
Okay.
Not working out too well. The oldest son, who has a schizoaffective disorder, he has high anxiety, but he's taking responsibility for the apartment they live in. If their father died a couple of years ago and left them the apartment to the oldest and the youngest who have the mental health issues. And the youngest decided he was going to stop taking his medication about a year and a half ago. So he's pretty much not really functioning too well. He brings all kinds of stuff into the house and gathers it in his areas. And now even his brother, who he was sharing a room with, has decided to move out of the room and just let Jason have his room, because he just has his clothes all over the place. It's a mess. And anyway.
It's interesting. I used to be an inspector of group homes and foster care homes. And there just is a sort of difference in every one you go to. Even a lot of them, you're judging them on the same regulations, you know, but there's trust issues there. That's why I was asking you. You open a refrigerator, one of my first things was, are all their food labeled? Because they don't want someone stealing their food. Or when they leave their bedroom, you go out in the community area, do they lock their door? Things like that, you know. They think someone else is going to sneak in there and touch their stuff. And there's a lot of things there where I think respect and trust go along with each other. And what I found too, I enjoyed this job more than I thought. I wanted out the whole time I was doing it, but now that it's over, what I've learned, what I liked was, you could tell, just as a teacher might do this, put on a dog and pony show when the inspector's there, and the individuals that are involved with that, they know, they're like, this guy ain't acting like this, you know, every day. As soon as this inspector leaves, they're going to go back to slouching and goofing off, and you know, they learn how to trust and not trust by the actions, you know, of their superiors. And I learned a lot doing that job. At the time, I kept trying to get out of it, thinking, I'm not good at this. This isn't my thing. Mostly at the time, because I didn't like writing citations for folks that were not, you know, fulfilling their waiver, you know, requirements. But it was explained to me that I was hired to do that job because I was a good teacher, and I would see a lot of the things, you know, and I wasn't buying it at the time. This is a few years back. But now that it's gone and behind me, I've learned from it since then.
Right. Yeah, the youngest son was in a group home at one point, but it was too depressing for him. So he went back to live with his father, who was overbearing. But at least he
Well,
knew.
and that's the same thing. Sorry to interrupt you. Is
Yeah.
homeschooling. If the place was depressing and he didn't want to be there, the person in charge of the group home, that's their issue to take. They need to take care of. You know what I mean? And then,
Yeah.
so I'd like. Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm curious about what you're going to say now. When he moved out, and went back with his father, how it changed or didn't change.
Yeah, he did better. He did better. He
Did
was
better.
on medication there for a while, but then at one point he decided to come and move in with myself and Jim is my new husband, and so he lived with us for a year, and then he decided to go back because I guess he could feel that Jim was kind of expecting him to function a little bit better,
Yeah.
get a job or help out around the house. And so he could feel that was the expectation. He wasn't doing it. So he went back to his father, and that was okay until his father was really sick, and his father didn't want him to be there when he died, so he told him to leave.
Well, that's why educators have reward systems, and to me, they're only once removed from the real world. It's just you're playing a little game in house with reward systems. I'll buy you a new television, or I'll let you stay up an hour later, or whatever the reward is to get their goals accomplished. You know what I mean? We do it. We get paychecks. And other things. But you got to have structure, and you can't just like Leslie. What you're saying is, the husband had expectations, but were they defined? That they surely were different from where the person was coming from in the past. But did he know he was did the student, we'll call him a student, individual, know what they were getting into right away? Yes or no? We don't know.
Yeah, on the one hand, he expected him to, behave himself at home, I guess. I'm not exactly sure what that involved. But probably, taking care of his stuff and not bringing in junk into the house. And then, on the other hand, he had no expectation. He says, "Oh, he's got a mental illness and he can't do anything."
Yeah.
So it was kind of a mixed message. What? So.
And you don't know if you're supposed to be judging or be on a mental level curve looking for improvement and things like that. The basic rules there that I was thinking of: do you just leave your toothpaste, your toothbrush out in the bathroom? Yes or no? Some group homes, they won't do that. They'll take it back to their room every time, their shampoo and all that, so they don't trust. Some people might be scrubbing the toilet with it or using it themselves or stealing shampoo. You don't know if you could trust your roommates or not,
Well, I think there's a little bit more trust than that in them. There's 2 bathrooms, so my oldest son has 1 bathroom, and then the other 2 have to use the other bathroom. And I think, they're not worried about that kind of thing. They're not worried about anything. Well, although my oldest son says the youngest one steals his socks sometimes.
See, here we go. Right.
Yeah. So I said, well, maybe don't leave them out on the floor.
Now, somebody like me, I would never wear someone else's socks, clean or dirty. It's just not a thing that I would consider doing. Some folks, hey, socks free, great, Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm at a quandary. Of course, they live 6-hour drive away. I'm at a quandary what to do with them because, what kind of resources are there in Arizona? You can't exactly call up a social worker to go in there and work with them. The son who is the most capable now, he's working most of the time, and I think he's so frustrated he doesn't know what to do with them all. And the oldest one gets frustrated and he just starts yelling. That doesn't help. And
unfortunately, there's more failures than successes in the situation you're talking about. That is unfortunate. I could cite so many other issues that I've been dealing with and I have dealt with in the past where failure took up the full page and the successes are just a smut, you know. But
Yeah.
that's why you got to keep working. And there's another thing: trust in the person in charge. You trust they will always be there, just like we said. You're not going to let us down or give up on you, you know. Or I give up on you. Just get out of my sight. You know, you ever see parents and teachers do that? Get out of my sight. Just get away from me. You know, that.
Yeah.
Whoa, I don't like that at all. When I owned my own school, I had a day school that I owned myself. I would never let a teacher say that to a student, you know.
Yeah.
Just, you know, even if they were bad and in the wrong, you know, like just get out of here. I don't want to see you for the rest of the day or stuff. I could never talk to someone like that or even accept that people would talk to each other like that.
Yeah.
That's where respect and trust coincide with each other.
Yeah.
As I see it.
True.
So
Yeah.
one thought that's come up for me is like when we think of trust, the way I've been thinking of it and the way it seems you're speaking of it, that we're thinking of somebody that we trust is somebody that's going to behave in a way that we like. But I'm wondering, is knowing that somebody's going to behave in a way we don't like your oldest son yelling or the socks being disappearing. I wonder if that's part of trust too, is, or if that is a different.
When I think back now, you know, I'm 59 years old. I'll be 60 next time. I think back on my high school days. We had teachers that we trusted and we loved them, and then but some of them did their job and some didn't. And you know, now I'm like, wow, we enjoyed that guy because he didn't make us work, you know. But the one that didn't make us work, that's some of the things I held on to more. And but at the time, we didn't give them the respect they should have gotten. You know what I mean? Like some teachers just say, "Ah, just get out something to read." And they didn't teach us. Well, they weren't the ones that they were the easy ones. They're the fun ones. But I'm wondering, did the supervisor, their supervisor, to teach the principal of that school know that they were slacker teachers? You know what I mean? And what I'm saying here is you didn't get the trust from the teacher that they're going to do the right thing. That's why teachers get observed, you know. You can't trust that they're always doing it right, you know. Even the teachers have to be monitored and graded. And I think that's what we're doing here a little bit, is grading our relationships with the people that we're dealing with.
So I'm thinking if agreement were the common way of interacting, finding agreement, like with you and your granddaughter, that you have an agreement that if she needs something, she can come to you, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm wondering if agreement were common, it was like pretty much the way people interacted. If in that case, you would need to monitor people and not trust that they would carry things out.
Well, the person that's observing isn't always the person that's being in the situation. So then again, that's what you're saying. We're judging. Are they coming through like they promised, you know, or is it just an agreement? I mean, without compromise, right? You know, like talk about things like tough love and stuff like that. You know, some of that stuff confuses me.
I mean, for me, I haven't, I have read some of that, but to me, it seems that when those kind of decisions are made, it doesn't feel, I mean, okay, I started to, because I was reading about that on the Facebook, on the member site, that to me, the confusion of that statement, tough love, is that the person loves whoever it is, their child usually. They love them, but they are so frustrated, they're so confused, they're so upset that they love them, but they make decisions out of the upsetness that to me are not loving decisions.
Like you're throwing out punishments just because you're angry.
Yeah, and
then
calling it.
Yeah.
But you know you love them, you know, it's like that's a given. So
yeah,
I mean,
one nurse I worked with, and their son, you know, he used to use marijuana, I guess, and they told him that he had to stop if he was going to continue living with them, and he didn't want to stop, so they told him he had to leave the house, and sometimes he's on the street, he's homeless, and but they wouldn't let him back. So, you know, I thought, whoa, that's kind of extreme, isn't it?
I would think.
But maybe that, you know, that was all.
But maybe if they'd put the effort into it and given it the time, maybe they could have come to some kind of agreement. Something that would work for them and for him.
Yeah. Yeah, but it seems like these things have to start long before it gets to that point.
My dad
it's
had
better,
a saying,
but not essential. The commitment to the agreement is what's essential.
I see.
It's better. It's way better if it starts earlier, but it's workable. Just a moment. There was a teenager. Well, I knew her from the time she was 4. She lived across the street, and I used to tutor her. And talk about a rough father. She had one. And then at some point when she was a teenager, he bought my book for her. But he looked at it, and so he would talk to me about it, and so he started changing his ways, and his daughter like totally forgave him. I was so amazed that she could have lived through so much harshness and still forgiven and loved her father. So to me, that was revealing what's in us to be, and the abilities that we have, and the changes we can make.
Right.
I mean, she was like, let's see, 13 or 14, something like that. So I've always wondered, like, was it because she was still a teenager? She wasn't an adult that, I mean, it could be just who she was too, but anyway, That was really interesting to me.
There's a preacher on TV. Her name's Joyce Meyer. You guys aware of her?
Oh, yeah.
Joyce Meyer.
Oh, yes.
I don't think not one episode of her, program goes by where she doesn't talk about how her father abused her, and when she was a child, and then her mother knew what was going on but didn't do anything about it out of fear. So there's the opposite of trust is fear. But now she says, she's older and she learned on her own how to be. Didn't necessarily come from her mother, who she didn't trust because she didn't help her, and her father who abused her. I've read books on this too. But when the learner grows and becomes their own self, they have a tendency to forgive because that's what's in their
Oh,
heart. That's the
Yeah.
love that they have, and they
right.
forgive. And I do a lot of that now in my life. And what I've come to in my last few years, I'm not as selfish, or I let my ego go away. And I want to share and give while I'm alive. I don't people. I'm not want someone to. I don't want to leave a will. Say, oh, I'm leaving you all this. I'll give it to you now. You know what I mean? It's like, let's live life now. Not
Right.
like, oh, he was a good guy. I wonder when he's going to leave me in his will. You already know, because I already gave it to you while I was alive. I think that's what a lot of it's about.
Right.
Living life. People, they miss all of it. They miss it. They just don't get it. They're too wound up, wondering what they're going to do this weekend to party, rather than what they're going to plan their life.
Mhm.
I did a research thing once, and it worked out. I bet money, and I did a survey that kids know more brand of beer names than they do presidents in the United States. Can you believe that? They do.
Mhm.
They can rattle off Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors, Heineken. They can name off all these beers they see around, but they don't know the history of their country or who made decisions for them throughout the years to get us where we are. That's terrible.
Right. Yeah, well, my oldest son was like that. He was the oldest of 5 sons, and I think he got the harshest treatment from his father.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, he was the one that took care of his father, and he lived with him for 5 years, the last 5 years of his father's life, and
When a father,
he came to really love him and forgive him. He says, "Oh, he's just a macho Greek guy, FOB, fresh off the boat. That's just the way he is, and he loved him."
Leslie, did you have interaction with that relationship at all in any way?
Which relationship?
With your son and the Greek father? You know what I mean?
Well,
Did you see it?
did I see it? Yeah, I saw it right near the end, right at the end when he was, the last couple of weeks of his life. And they would laugh together, they would cry together. It was really touching, really touching. They really communicate.
You saw the change.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really beautiful. But and on the other hand, this son, he was very hurt because he felt the other sons didn't love his father very much, and they
Sure.
didn't seem to miss him so much, and they didn't cry, and they didn't, mourn over him.
Right. That's what I was getting at. It's hard to be an observer to that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like when my daughter is disciplining my granddaughter, sometimes I don't always agree with what I'm seeing, but sometimes I'll take over and just remove my granddaughter from the situation and just change it rather than arguing with my daughter. I'll just take her and I'll ask permission. Hey, how about we go to my room and play? Something like that, because I might not agree with what's going on. That's what I was getting at with you. If you saw that, the old off the boat Greek guy was being mean to the boys, and,
Yeah,
and you didn't agree with it.
Yeah,
that was difficult for you.
Wasn't a lot I could do. I tried to
Right.
and he just take me down the hall and beat me up.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, but yeah, it was hard to see, Yeah.
and I would think there'll be no trust in the house at all living like that. You know what I mean?
You'd think so, but you know, it's interesting because my third son, when he was in the 4th grade, he did a science experiment, and he did it great. In fact, he won for the region or something. And he had 3 sets of plants, and one set he loved the plant. He told me how beautiful the plant was. I love you. You're wonderful. The second set, he yelled at it and said, "You're terrible. You're ugly. You're horrible." And the third set, he just didn't do anything with it. Just ignored it. So then at the end, he measured the growth. Well, the one that grew the best was the one that was loved. The one that was yelled at grew almost as much as the one that was loved. And the one that was ignored was much smaller.
Well, they say kids
Interesting.
desire and want attention, and they'll take it and get it any way they can, positive or negative. That's exactly what you're saying there, I
Right.
think.
That's
Yeah.
it. So he was very involved in the kids. You know, he had a garden. He, you know, built the houses and, you know, did this.
I like that story. It's not only a real story, but it's a good analogy of, you know, what we already know. That they'll take attention. And you know, I taught in a prison for a year, and they just want attention and love, and they'll get it any way they can.
Yeah.
That's why they got in there. They wanted someone to, hey, look how cool I am. I could rob a store, or you know, I could do this. You know.
Yeah.
What they're really looking for is some kind of acceptance.
Yeah.
We all want that. We all want that.
How do you like that?
That's why agreement.
The prison project where they're working with horses. They have the prisoners work with horses and train them.
Wow.
And in that relationship, the prisoner is able to change.
Well, this all brings us back to Karen's one rule. There might be compromise from all parties, but when you agree upon things, you got to trust that the people involved are going to follow through. And if you can't do that, then it's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe next time we can deal with this some more. One thing I just wanted you to know is that the person who has all these teenagers at her place got back to me. The message I sent got put in some box somewhere, and so she thinks she's really excited about this. So I'm going to be talking with her Wednesday. I'm not sure if we'll do something next week, but we'll do something more on the one rule.
Great.
Great.
So, okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, have
Thank
a
you.
great week.
Will.
Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you.
I
Thank
really
you.
enjoy
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
It was wonderful.
Bye, girls.
Yeah.
Brian, I love your input. Your experience is just amazing. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Hope the book comes soon. Thank you for the
Oh,
support.
hi.
Someone just came on.
She was there the whole time, just hiding from us, right?
Yes.
Really? Who is this? What's your name, dear?
Her name is
iPhone.
Okay.
Sometimes
Bye, girls.
Okay.